Okay, so now I want to see that real quick. Just take a real quick look. Mm. Oh my goodness. This is not going because I'm. Am I? Is it streaming already? See, I'm already streaming, and I'm already not sure if I'm getting any good audio. Already, this is off to a rocky start. Switch to the mic I wanted to switch to, and I'm already starting to regret it because I can't get any audio levels. And this is live, and I'm gonna tell you why this is going so poorly on my second night in a second. But first I gotta get this started. I'm running out of time. Yeah, we're live right now. What's going on here? And unmute myself. Say something. Okay. All right, let me turn this off. Let me turn this off. All right, at least we got some quality audio there. Okay, so we were late. We're gonna keep working here in the background while there's sound. We are starting the show late because it is live, and apparently live is a terrible idea. You know what I mean? Just terrible. You know, just a terrible idea all around. You know. So I was up getting ready for the show, and I'm doing some maintenance. I should have gotten up an hour ago, but I slept through my alarm. And I mean, we're going to do this episode. We're probably going to talk about what it means, you know, what it means. And like, I have all these images that I need to, man, what am I going to do here? Okay, okay. Because I have a whole thing and I got all these images. I took pictures earlier, and I don't remember how I was proposing to get those pictures to myself. But I got so many of them, you know, and I got a cat in the background who is running her mouth. I need to get it going, man. We need to get it going. I am looking for the music that I use. There we are. Where are you? Come on, man. Where are you, music? Alright, maybe you're over here. Yeah, there you are. Okay. Okay. And that is playing probably loud. So, hello. And how come I can't hear you in my ears? That's that's interesting. They're saying microphones, speakers, gaming headset, and it is not playing anything. Oh, quiet. I can't tell whether the music's playing or not. Oh, man. All right, we're going to pause that because I cannot tell again. Now we got to do this again. I don't think so. Testing, hello? Oh, quiet. Yeah, see? All right, so we're just having some. You gotta come. No, no, you're trying to be the star of a show. They don't, camera on for you to ham it up. I don't know why this media player is not playing. We're gonna look at this mixer one more time. Global settings. Okay. Speakers for the desktop. It says, yeah. Because we don't want it to be this. We. Oh, wait. All right. Okay, so what we do know is I can be heard, right? So while I can't explain what is going on with everything, I can explain a few things. So we are going to begin our show and just figure out from there. And hello, I got a viewer too right away, which is probably like, welcome in viewer. My apologies. Episode 2 is, see, here's the thing. I don't want the headphones on. That's why I'm trying to get this figured out. So right now, I don't have any audio playback on my side. Luckily, that shouldn't be a big deal because I don't think I have any like videos to watch now. But this episode might actually be short because I don't have everything set up because I was asleep. Like I was knocked out. I was supposed to lay down for like an hour after the debate, but I laid down until like 1 o'clock, and like that's not enough time to start a show at 1 o'clock. So welcome. I'm really sorry about that, but welcome to the I Don't Know Show. It's a show you're supposed to fall asleep to. Hang out with me to decompress from the day's events, and we'll go from there. So I got a lot to go over, and I got some show to talk about. I do. It's not like that. It's not like I don't have that part for you. It's just I had a lot more of this. Like I want it to be a bit more snappy than say yesterday. And so far, I should say that I'm not. But we're gonna keep going. On the screen is our first story. Sadly, on the 1st of October, Mr. John Amos died. Iconic African actor, show Good Times, and many more shows. The article blurb I have in this short gallery is for Deadline, and the person who wrote it, I left them off because I think rather I did so, because on that's Rocio, who's up here in the shot trying to be all extra hammy. She'll be all right. She'll be okay. It's okay. They wrote in their blurb about John Amos's passing that he was playing Florida Evans, and that's not true. That was a weird thing to put in the article. It was like he gave him credit for being, look, Amos known for playing Florida Evans on Maude and Good Times, which spun off of Maude, for his role of James Evans Sr. on Good Times. So that's like a weird typo, almost like some AI stuff, but that's neither here nor there. He was an extremely influential actor. I am hoping that like the biggest stories of the day aren't the passing of people, but they just happen to be like 3 rather iconic individuals, which is sort of a superstition in certain communities. So there is that. The thing about like I don't really want court controversy for views, and so like I can't really speak to anything about John Amos that, from my perspective, I don't know, maybe be like pandering, like looking for something to latch onto, to be, like, I think it's just like one of those things where maybe this channel isn't the John Amos tribute channel, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know that that's where you're gonna come for information. I mean, I ain't got it for you. I'm sorry, but it's just no, it's just newsworthy and worth pointing out, worth mentioning. As far as like topics of the day, I think it's one of those things where in the future I'm hoping to have an audience, so someone who might have like something to say about it, might chime in or something like that. But at this time, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's just sad that he passed away. He was 84, I believe, a year older than Pete Rose. You know, but yeah, there's a list of like all the things he worked on. This is some photos I found from the internet. That's about it. I wanted to, because okay, there were some things from the last episode that I didn't really love. I had the gallery that for the background was just kind of running in general, and I feel like if you were casually kind of swinging by, you would kind of wonder what the images were for, and like it might be more harm than good. So I'm sort of, the plan was to play with the image gallery to sort of coincide more with what I was talking about. But guess who fell asleep after making 1.5 like image galleries? So I got an image gallery for Mr. John Amos, and then like that's it. Like, so that's the end of the image gallery. Like that's it. We're done with the gallery, and we don't have another gallery. Like that's it. Like the gallery's done. We're done with that part. We're done. We're moving on. Now I have a folder with a bunch of photos, right? And then a bunch of other photos that are still on my phone from the debate. So instead of that, what we're gonna do is try and find, so we can talk about it. We're gonna do this right here, and then we're gonna look and see if we can find like highlights, and let's see here, images. There's a bunch of images, yeah. But let me see. Maybe there's video highlights after the fact. Like we got like an hour and 50-minute video. I think we can just probably run that in the background. We'll do it like that. Hopefully, I mean, since we have this audio problem anyway, and we don't really even know, but since I don't have audio to my knowledge, and I'll make sure, right? Okay, and then we're gonna get all extra snazzy slick with it. Where are you? There we go. Okay, so even if audio plays, we're gonna just, here, let's get to this is just some flavor, and we're gonna talk about this bullshit that was the vice president. Okay, you know what? No. Okay, yes, it was bullshit. It was bullshit. Vice presidential debates. Wait a minute. We have an issue. Am I still recording live? Because, I mean, that's okay, but I think I just stopped recording again. No. Okay. I'm going to keep going because it says my viewer count just went to 0, which means I'm not viewing myself anymore. But here it looks like I am still in the game. Am I in the game still? I can't tell. It says my viewer count went to 0. Okay, no. Oh my gosh. I swear, me and this computer are gonna get together. Okay, so it's gonna be okay. So Um, let's talk about it. The show must go on, and we're gonna learn from this. And I'm just not gonna keep you all night. I'm just gonna make sure to check in and clock in for work, and then try and have a better show tomorrow. But we're gonna try and recover that this wasn't the show, but it is the show. Okay, so I do have notes that I gotta figure out where I'm going to get them from because I'm trying to do too much stuff at one time. So let's do this. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we are at the top of the show, and that means dealing with uh, the day's events while we decompress. And my apologies for the rough start, but I did not wake up in time. It's okay though. We're here, and we're doing this. Okay, first thing I want to talk about as far as the debate goes is, how do I put this? Okay, everyone talks about fear mongering, right? But I hate to break it to you, but technically both sides do it. Now, with that being said, you should be scared. Like Democrats aren't making things up to scare you, but they're kind of hoping that like this dude on the left of the picture, JD Vance, like they're hoping that what he's saying and what he does and what his running mate do, like they hope that shit really sinks in because it's a serious like threat, But like they are kind of like okay. I think the biggest concern from most of left-leaning Democrats is turnout and people showing up. Like you got to actually get out there and vote in states where the electoral college will be the determining factor. So it's like we got to get people out there. We got to keep people focused because if people show up and they vote, then she wins. The other side of the aisle is basically trying to convince people that it's not that big a deal and they don't need to be out there involved. And it's like it's more nuanced than that. But what you'll constantly see is the left trying to balance being a reassuring leadership, presence, and also making people aware that this is some serious shit. I need you to show up here at the ballots and help us out because like the threat that they pose to what you're trying to do with your own personal life like is no laughing matter. And it's a delicate thing to kind of balance, and it makes an easy targets for Republicans who don't have people's best interests at heart. And that's one of the things too, watching this kind of back and forth is like, honestly really frustrating because I don't want to go too deep into it, but in my college years, I was a college debater. I got into the college debate, not in high school, only in college, only for a couple of years, but I did, and I learned a few things. And one thing I learned is if the only thing you've ever seen are presidential debates, then you've never seen a debate. Like Bill Lawrence, who is a nighttime anchor on MSNBC, was mentioning during the pre-show like ESPN style political warm-up, where all the pundits are there, for the weigh-in or whatever. But he was mentioning that like the presidential debates is a televised event created by the parties and the television networks back in the 60s and the 70s and so on and so forth. And it's, by and large, a circus that has had some significant effect on our political process from its inception. From the time Kennedy debated Nixon to the time Trump stalked around the background while Hillary Clinton tried to make a coherent point. Like, debates are a joke, and after you know better, it's embarrassing to kind of watch them, even if they're at quote unquote best, because it's not a debate. They at no point display their acumen for why they should be the leader of the nation. It's, I don't know. It kind of sets us up for the future of politics, because what we're watching when I watch this is a public servant versus a show pony. Whereas, in other words, Tim Walz is a public servant, and JD Vance, as a member of the Grand Old Party, is a show pony. His job is to talk in front of the camera and convince 25% of the people in the room to vote for him no matter what. But that's the extent of his abilities. Like JD Vance's job is to run. His job is to go to rallies and stand in gymnasiums and whip up interest, and then allow the people who bankroll his campaign to write legislation and policy. That's why you have a GOP that doesn't have any coherent policy, because none of those guys write the policy for their party. The corporate interests who control the purse strings write those policies through the lobby. So Tim Walz, on the other hand, is a public servant who is literally trying to generate policy to help people, as opposed to JD Vance, who is forwarding the agenda of the private sector. I mean, that's pretty much how you get a distinction when there is no real ideological distinction within the party. Like what you're seeing, these two guys standing here, is hundreds of years of political horseshit since the end of slavery, where you had one party break up over slavery and then figure out what the hell that means after the fact. Let's see here. Yeah, and throughout this entire debate, they both have like their own agenda, which is to pin the woes of their partner on pin the woes of the parties on their partner. I keep looking at the feed because like yesterday, like it was rough, and like in the middle of the stream it just stopped, and so I'm like nervous looking at my stream going, okay, am I still recording? Was recording? And so I want to move away from this feed. It's just something it's just visual to have in the background, because I don't know about my audio at this point. I think I'm good. I'm hoping I'm good. Get back to my points. I watched the entire debate, and I thought about trying to stream it live, but I just feel like it's, like I said yesterday, last night's episode, it's not necessarily about the message. It's about not being able to break through to anyone who needs to hear your message. And no matter what we say, they have formatted these exchanges where everyone is listening to such a degree that the people who tuned in to watch JD Vance debate aren't concerned about whether or not what he's saying is true. They're concerned about whether or not Tim Walz says it's true, and what happens when they clash on topics. And so you're talking about live streaming, fact checking, and having a thing on screen, and like none of that matters, because we have been psychologically isolated to such a degree that we can all show up to the same watering hole and taste different water. You know what I mean? So while everyone is watching this take place, JD Vance can say whatever he wants. The people who come to listen to him, who've already decided that he's right and he's already won this debate before it's even started, just need Tim Walz to not call bullshit live and in front of them. And 90% of the time, he doesn't. And JD Vance, because of that, feels emboldened as the night goes on to just say whatever he wants. He literally says whatever he wants. And you look at the camera, that's the look at the 5% who walked in here with him who don't care what he says. as long as he's saying it. You know what I mean? And that's why it's so frustrating to watch. Why, no matter what happens, it doesn't seem to move the needle. Like, you can see these guys say and do dumb things and then turn around and the polls have them evenly matched and tied. And that's supposed to remind you that their audience, their constituents, are isolated and situated over to the side, and they do not see, hear, comprehend, care, interact with, or are concerned by. Donald Trump got in front of his own constituents on national television and said that Kamala Harris had a mental illness from birth. Like, he just said like the most fucked up shit, and it did not matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't. The only way to do anything about this is to win at the ballot box in these like 4 or 5 handful of states where like their people are basically hidden away, partitioned away, and isolated from the outside world. They only listen to these guys in their endless rhetoric. I mean, it's the real political battleground is to break through the echo chamber that they helped create. And they're running out of time. Let's see. Do I have anything else for this? Let's see here. Okay, a couple things. Okay, about JD Vance in general that really started to bug me. Like, okay, the whole show pony thing, the whole thing about his job is to win the seat, and then let the people who bankroll that run the government, or to do his job. That's it. And when you pay close attention to him in terms of policy, all he can do is shit talk policy. He can't do anything else. So recently, there's been all this about IVF, and without going into a great deal of detail, because you can like check out some information on IVF, and you'll never hear me say something like do your own research. I think instead you should verify your own sources and make sure that where you get your information from, you can quantify and verify it. And you're not talking about who you trust. You're talking about what you can verify yourself. Do your research. It's stupid. We're not scientists. We're not all scientists. You know, we're not all researchers. Some of us have regular jobs. We have to parse through information and determine its validity. Do your own research is one of those pretentious things we shouldn't tell each other anymore. We've completely misinterpreted what that really means. When it comes to something like this, okay, so one of the tactics Vance used the entire night was to constantly lay everything wrong at the vice president's feet. Vice president wants to do these things. Well, she's been the vice president for all this time. How come she ain't done them? Sounds like a cogent response if your audience is the student council presidents of 12-year-olds. But that's a weird statement to say about the job you want. He wants to be vice president of the United States, and when you make that statement, you're basically saying you don't know what the vice president's job is. You don't know what it means to be the vice president of the United States. You don't know what's required of you, because if you think the vice president's job is to generate public policy, what job are you applying for? You know what I mean? Like you don't understand. You are laying things and responsibilities at her feet that don't belong there, and that's the job you're applying for. And so when you think about January 6th and what Donald Trump wanted Mike Pence to do, which was above and beyond what he was supposed to do, he wants someone who doesn't understand the basic functions of the position so they can misuse that power. You know what I mean? So pay close attention. JD Vance doesn't give a shit what the vice president's job is. His job is to do what he's told, to go where he's supposed to go. So it doesn't really matter what his responsibilities are. That's not the point. The guy on his right thinks about what those responsibilities are. He's a public servant. He's awkward. He's uncomfortable. He's frustrated by all of this because the guy across the way doesn't really give a fuck. His job is to look good and then stay out of the way. Whereas his job is to actually get in there and solve these problems. And because JD Vance's whole goal is to appease the people who put money in his pockets, which of course isn't the American people, his it's frustrating to like, it's like sitting there with someone whose job it is to annoy you on purpose, because that's JD Vance's whole job here. His job is to frustrate Tim Walz and make Tim Walz look flustered on camera. That's it. So to that end, JD Vance can kind of say whatever he wants. He can lie because the people who were gonna vote for him, that needle hasn't moved. The only thing he can hope to do right now is potentially convince a small percentage of people to stay home. They're not going to switch over, and he's not going to convince anyone to vote for him. But if he can convince you that there's no hope at all, that you should just stay home and not vote for Kamala Harris, that's what his job is. That's what his goal is. And I don't know that there's much Tim Walz can do about that. They've got us so cold that if Tim Walz straight up dunks on him all night, those same people who came determined to vote for him now have a sympathy play. Like, these are serious times where one position can be so bad, like so terrifyingly idiotic, and there's just no logic to claim purchase to convince people to think about what they're saying for a moment. I mean, you have people right now who, he was the president during an entire whole ass pandemic, and like economics were all over the map, but because of gas prices in your mind's eye, you're like, I was balling out of control during the pandemic. Okay, I'm sure you were. Couldn't go nowhere, couldn't do nothing with that money, but you was just balling out of control. You know, it is what it is. When you can decide what the reality is and how it's different, it is what it is. Do I have anything else on this? Yeah, the other thing he's doing, I mean, with every opportunity, I mean, literally, is to basically lay everything at the feet of immigrants. Like, every third thing out of his mouth was, "Oh, this is what happens when you don't deal with the border," which is like, man, like, what a load of horse shit. You know, it's. I thought Tim Walz did a pretty good job attempting to make it clear that their goal was to vilify people who don't deserve it. You know, and time will only tell if there is like traction there. But according to JD Vance, I mean, he really thinks that like an immigrant is going to trek thousands and thousands of miles potentially, sneak into a country with nothing but the clothes on their back, and then immediately vote for president and outbid you on $100,000 house. Like, that's what he's been talking to you about all night long if you watch the debate. That someone without a penny of their name is going to come to this country, pick your leaders, and outbid you for homes. That's it. Like, beware. That's hard to deal with. That's hard to that lapsed in logic, that you can make statements like that. Him and Ted Cruz all the time talking about people voting illegally without any sort of ability to quantify that at all. You're just begging for people to be hurt. You're just, it's monstrous. And they see it so smug and so smooth and so cold that it's terrifying. But they do, you know. So what we're gonna do now is, that is the top of the show. That is the top of the show. No, it's not. We got more current events. We do. We do, but I do not have any. I don't have any images, not offhand. Um, man, okay, one of the current events that's currently eventing that you folks are probably hearing lots and lots about is your friend Sean Puffy Combs, the P Diddler. The P Diddler got in some trouble, and see, like, what am I doing right now? Like, why am I talking about that? That's like, it's one of those things where like that is not untapped, you know, like a lot of stuff going on with that guy, you know, a lot of that stuff. And so the Diddler, you know, got into some trouble. Um, I'm not the biggest hip hop person anymore, but actually my favorite rapper was Biggie Smalls. Like, you know, like in the '90s when that stuff came out, like that was like the dopest thing ever. So I do have notes, but what I felt like was worth talking about, I suppose, is being old enough to remember famous people like Sean Combs prior to the internet, and how much like stuff comes up and becomes rumor to like people on the street prior to the internet. Because remember when like Craig Mack and Biggie and like those first few years of Bad Boy Records, that's all uh, late '90s, you know. But the behind the scenes of that, all that hustle, goes into the '90s and the late '80s, as far as the people who are going to become who's who of the entertainment industry. When you are like watching them talk about their upbringing, they're running around in the late '80s, early '90s, you know, getting cats coffee, and now 10, 15 years later, 20 years later, they're like, in some cases, running the game, you know. But like you realize like this stuff, they've been going at it. It's been all going down for years and years and years. Arista Records, becoming Bad Boy Records, all that. Like, there's rumors and stuff that come with the activities to make a name for yourself. So when you listen to early music, like early lyrics, like they talk about what's going on in their lives leading up to it. And you remember, like, there's still like rumor mills and whatnot, but it's different. It's like word of mouth. You heard from somebody, that a radio DJ over at some college station said something, and somehow magically you're now sitting in a barber shop and it manages to come up as, you know what I heard. And it's like, internet, what? I'm serious. And so before the internet, there's already stories about Sean Combs and Puffy and like all that. But I cannot sit here and tell you that the rumors back then were pointing towards like the reality that currently is the reality. Like, I remember one of the earlier rumors. Well, it wasn't a rumor, but it was the story of this dancer named Sean Carter, Sean Combs, whatever, and he was called Puffy because his eyes were puffy. That's the whole thing. And he was a dancer from like Clark Atlanta University or something like that. And kind of the story of him reminded you of school days, I guess. Like an entrepreneur that rose up off of the college campuses and hustled the books in the daytime and the hip hop at night or whatever. Like, And then the reason I think it's all funny and probably mostly like I hate to say it maybe a little fabricated is because like there's these weird gaps that don't get explained in that backstory of the young dancer who wants to become something more. You know what I mean? And like now that we're finding out that like it got real deep in some real like sort of shit like this fool is out here wilding the fuck out. What is all the baby oil? Like when you go back to those early stories, they were already sort of sugarcoating everything then because it was like and then suddenly success. You know, like Sean Combs was a young who danced and then suddenly success. And you're like, wait a minute, wait, wait. I think we missed a couple of steps when like something worked out because it was like Arista Records and then suddenly success. Like, wait, what was the magic deal? And it gives you when you look back at the success stories that are filtered through for the people on the street to hear about, it kind of explains where you also get the mystique of being really, really good at something, despite all things to the contrary. Like Puffy has always been like presumptively good at things. Like, of course. But when you look at it real close, it's not quite. So you had the first Craig Mack, Play in the Ear, like he had like I think some might consider him a one-hit wonder. I don't know that that's fair. Um, for those who don't know who Craig Mack is, first one, he's the first Craig on the Google search because probably this is Craig Mack. Got a brand new flavor in the air, like, and it was dope. Craig Mack was dope. Like one of the Flavor in the Air remix has everybody and their mom on that from like 92, 93. Biggie, Craig Mack, Busta Rhymes. It's like the Flavor in the Air remix is one of the dopest hip hop songs ever. But if people would have paid attention, they'd have known something was up with Puffy going all the way back to his first act because this is it right here. This was the first cat who was supposed to be like, you know, and then as soon as Biggie hit the scene, it was like, what happened to Craig Mack, right? And then Biggie actually, okay, Biggie does Ready to Die, the first album, and it's great. And then his next album is Life After Death, and he dies promoting that album. So, Born Again and anything after, Biggie was dead. Biggie passed away before his second album had actually dropped. You know what I mean? So we think about like a lot of. It's not like the discography isn't dope. It doesn't count, but it's one of those things where. Oh, I see. That's what it is. And that's fine. That's cool because I'm still up in the game. All right, cool. Okay, so it's not the discography doesn't count, but you think about the span of what you would assume is a legendary career. When we talk about Biggie Smalls, you talk about like the best to ever do it. You assume there's like 6 albums. Da, 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 da. No, he had Ready to Die. Everything Was Lovely. Junior Mafia comes out. I want to say Lil Kim's album maybe comes out. And then the beef between the West Coast and East Coast all blows up. By the time Biggie's sophomore album comes out, he is killed. Like, he dies. So, as dope as it all is, as legendary as it all is, it's also, like, kind of shockingly brief in terms of the assumed output, you know. And now that we're finding all the stuff about how Puffy operated, there were always rumors that there was something false, about that dude and what he's been up to and stuff like that. But I would be like really, really stunned if he got pinned with some of the older stuff. I think that's gonna okay, unless we are sitting here watching some on television and it's breaking news and PDD is in a court someplace saying, "Yeah, I did it." Like I don't think we're gonna have some sort of official like finally we know who killed Pac and Big. Like I don't. I would honestly be stunned if this is where we were. If that was where we were going, I don't think it's where this is going. It could be, but yeah, Puffy's track record for success is dubious. In terms of what like the outside looking in, would consider like success because none of his artists were either prolific in terms of the amount of music they made under his label or just like lasted long, period. There is no 10 album artist under Bad Boy Records, and that includes Puffy himself. Like, there's nobody who is Loon. I mean, Mace became a whole entire minister, leaving hip hop behind like that far. And now he's got like a radio show with Cam. Like there's no one on that label who had what anyone passing by would consider a legitimate multi-year, that's what we do artistic career on Bad Boy Records. I don't have to look that up. Like, nobody. But somehow he's got the Lifetime Achievement Award for being what exactly? Like, it's weird, right? And that's why a lot of that stuff that they talk about seems like there's some purchase there, and it may be true, because when you look at the resume, it's like, what? He might have hurt some folks, like I don't know, like wait a minute now. And I mean, he's got all kinds of credits and stuff like that because there's albums in there. But like when you look at Usher's overall discography and then his relation to like Bad Boy, like they don't. Nah, he had like what, one album that was like ill conceived because he was 13 talking about all kind of weird stuff. Like yeah, like I don't know. I think organized crime and all that extra gangster shit, we're gonna find out exactly how true that shit was, and some of that shit was hella true. And they knew how true it was going all the way back to the beginning, and they were trying their best to make sure we never saw from the helicopter them going through the estates finding all the baby oil. I think that's what that is basically what happened. Like that's what happened. Like they were already knowing that Puffy was going to end up being raw for doing all kind of wild stuff, and we'll see, man. But yeah, it's rough out there for the P Diddy's right now, cause like he ain't getting out neither. Like they're like no, you have too much resources and all that stuff. You're not going nowhere. We're going to get you. We're going to get you and we're going to get everybody else. I heard some CEOs, like, I'm not breaking news. This is supposed to be like degrading information so you can fall asleep. So we're going to start to dumb it down real good, like real quick. Hold on. Let's see here. Okay. I'm going to share a quick story kind of on this topic because like, okay, I have my own personal like philosophy on celebrity, and ultimately, I think we should leave celebrities alone because we've made the stakes too high, and the amount of money to be made from entertainment destroys them, and so it is best for them and for us to leave those folks be. And I'm gonna tell you the story as to why I believe that. Okay, in 1995 or six, probably six, but it has to be early because I graduated high school in 1996, and high school graduations are like June or whatever. Now, this could be 95, but I don't think I started this job that early in my high school. I think I started the job summer that was going to roll into my senior year. So, I work at the Fox Hills Mall in Culver City, California. And in this mall, I'm going to see a ton of celebrities, like a ton of them. Favorites, Danny Manning from the Los Angeles Clippers, walk right past me. So cool, right? One night, Tupac and Thug Life, Outlaw Immortals, and like the people who work for record labels all came into the Fox Hills Mall the night of or the night before, potentially the famous Soul Train Music Awards. I want to say it was the awards show where Suge got on stage and directly dissed Puff Daddy for being Puff Daddy. You know, we're dancing in the videos. That award show, I think that's the one. They, in order to get prepared to show up for that show, they went to a famous store in the mall that sold like leather stuff. And if you walk by this store, it's where, okay, in the photograph, this picture right here. See that guy right here? See that jacket, that other jacket? Where do you get this jacket, sir? There's a store in the mall in every city where a dude sells other jackets. So those leather jacket store in the mall I worked at was where Tupac and them came in to buy the leather. Okay, I didn't speak to Tupac Shakur. I didn't speak to him. I saw him from a distance. Saw him about maybe 20 feet away. He had only been out of jail for a few days. It barely made MTV news, but there he was. There was Tupac. You know, I work at a little kiosk on the mall floor, so my job is to speak to people. That being said, no, I didn't speak to Tupac. I saw Tupac at the closest he was 20 feet from me, but I never ever in my life have ever spoken to that guy ever. However, because I work at a little kiosk, I don't have a store front. I don't have a bathroom. I don't have none of that stuff. I show up, I cart my little kiosk out, I set it up, I work my little thing or whatever, turn my little kiosk back in. That's the job. That's what I do. So there's a little restaurant, a little Mexican restaurant, like right across the way that we made our little deal with my bosses that if I need to go to the restroom or whatever, just walk in there, use the restroom, no big deal. So I see Outlaw Immortals, Tupac, the whole entourage come to the mall, and now they're just kind of posted while a few people go into this store and do the in the store thing. So I happen to have to go to the restroom. So I go into the bathroom, and I come out of the bathroom, and now, okay, the year right now is 2024. The year I'm describing is maybe 1996 or 1995. Forgive me. It has been a minute. In my memory, there's a member of, man, I got the internet. Let me see if I can figure this out because I don't know what this man looks like. Let's try this. Let's try this because I don't. Here we go. This is a picture of the Thug Life rap group, and that is a terrible picture. Not terrible in the sense it's just so small. That's terrible. Okay, and I don't even think Tupac might be that dude right there, maybe. But see this dude right here in the foreground? If I'm not mistaken, that is Big Sight. And this dude right here is not a small guy. Let me see if I can, if Wikipedia will help me here by giving Big Psych. Okay, this dude right here. All right, so I'm seeing this man right here, and he is listed as they don't. He's 48. He is 2 years older than me. And he's from this both Minglewood, California. Ain't that something? He died. He died in 2016. Well, shit. He died in Hawthorne of natural causes. I did not know this man had passed away. Okay, so this gentleman was a very, 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 very nice man. That's all I can tell you about this man. He was super nice. I was coming out of the bathroom of this Mexican restaurant and was looking at something on the wall, and I had a Shooter McGavin moment. I bumped into this dude and turned around, and as I turned and looked up, I'm telling you right now, he was so tall, and it was so long ago that in my memory, I did not know what he looked like. Like, I can't tell you from my memory that this was the man that happened to me that night. I just was backing up, and I bumped into him, and I turned around like, oh my, like Shooter McGavin. And he was huge, deep, deep, booming voice. He just said, oh, that's cool, bro. No problem. Because I bumped him, you know? But it was like, oh, shit. Like, he's so big. Like, this big old dude. It's cool, bro. And see, this is the thing about celebrities. They're regular, everyday people who are doing their thing, and you should leave them alone. Because you are not, like, we equate too much. We put too much on one person. And what one person's daily whatever means. And we take too much from those interactions. So he was so nice to me that for whatever reason it was like, oh man, these are the nicest guys. They're the nicest guys in the world. They're not they call themselves thug life, but they're not thugs like that. They're the nicest guys in the world. So at this time, because this is the middle of the beef between Tupac and Biggie, and here is Tupac like 20 feet away in the mall where I work. And like, I don't have a regular mall job. I have a job where I'm standing out in the mall by myself. I don't even have coworkers. I'm just there by myself for hours. There's no oversight. You know, I have friends in the mall who work in the mall too, who will come down and like chit-chat with me. So we're chit-chatting now, and it's like, dude, they're right over there. Like, what's up? Okay, there was a lot going on at the time, a lot of rumors, and this is pre-internet. Remember, like, there's nothing in my phone that's going to help me here. Any and all information comes from the radio, from the actual newspaper. Full stop. You got to wait for magazines to come out. So it's not like the magazine is going to scoop you on some bullshit. Like, you have to listen to the actual music for news, for like rap beefs and stuff. They tell you first. And then you find out when the song drops how bad it is, because there's no internet. The rumors are totally different, right? So the rumor at the time, in this point in time, is despite the fact that Tupac and Biggie have a beef, they had made a song together. And this is a rumor because the beef is the official thing and they don't like each other. So there's no way they made music together. But on the street, you can get bootleg everything, including these t-shirts that show Tupac and Biggie together promoting a song. And oddly enough, on the bootleg t-shirts, both Biggie and Tupac are dressed like this. It's a bootleg picture of Tupac and Biggie, both with these bandanas on, just like this. And that was what was, you could buy it on like Crenshaw and Slauson in 1995, 1996. That was like the beef and the rumors and the bootleg and everything. So the question was it true? And after meeting Big Psych outside of a bathroom in a Mexican restaurant, I felt encouraged to ask another member of the group if that was true. In my defense, in this same Fox Hills Mall, maybe a few weeks prior, we met a dude named Sam Snead. I am hesitant to look up Sam Snead because I didn't know that Big Psych died in 2016. I didn't know that. That's wild. I didn't know he passed away. What is it with this show on the first nights, the first two nights, just talking about who passed away? I didn't know that he passed away. But this other dude named Sam Snead. I'm not gonna look up Sam Snead, but Sam Snead, if you go back to early Death Row records, the liner notes, his album was supposed to drop on Death Row, and if you listen to Snoop's first couple albums, you can hear Sam Snead on some of like the outtakes and stuff, or like the sketches and skits. He does some stuff with the DOC, like comedy bits between songs. But we met him, like he came into the Sam Goody weeks prior and chatted it up with us and talked about, he was Sam Snead. Like, ooh, we met Sam Snead. Okay, like, and there's a whole rabbit hole about Sam Snead that's like a whole hip hop thing that I got no business talking about. But he talked to a bunch of squares one afternoon in a Sam Goody record store, and it means nothing except for it gave me confidence to approach someone I had no business trying to approach. Okay, so like I said, this is the group. So this is Thug Life, and there's also a group called Outlaw Immortals, and I'm almost 100% sure that the dude who I met next was not in this picture. He was from Outlaw Immortals. And if you listen to Tupac's albums just after getting out of jail for Death Row, Thug Life and Outlaw Immortals are all over those albums. This guy who I'm about to talk about now, don't know his name, don't know nothing. I had no business bothering this person. If looking at this, Big Psych was only 2 years older than me, I had no clue. So Big Psych was fucking 18 when this happened. This giant dude was 18 years old. Cause I'm 46 now, and he would be 48 if he were alive today. I think if I got that right, I think that's what he's saying. Age 48. So he unless he was 48 when he passed. No. Oh yes. No. He was okay. Wait. He was 48 when he passed. He was born in 68, so he's 10 years older than me. So he would be 56 now. Okay, a little bit better. That makes more sense. I don't think in my memory that dude would have been 18 years old. He would have been the most mature, nicest 18-year-old person ever. But he was 10 years older than me, so he would have been like 20 something. He would have been like 26 maybe if I was 16 or 10 years from, like, he was in his 20s. So anyway, I come out of the restaurant like, whoa, cool, I met Big Psych, Talked to a couple of friends of mine, like, dude, you should ask them about the song that Tupac and Biggie did together. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Yes, I am. I'm going to do it. I'm going to find out. Think about it. We have to wait for the radio, for the news. Like, there's no internet. To know this kind of thing, and then go back to your high school the next day and tell them you found out for a certain, like, this is like a big opportunity to find out, and they're so nice. So I walk over to this young man, and I'm like, trying to be cool, and I'm not cool. You can hear my voice. I'm not cool, and I wasn't cool in 1996 neither. I was no more cooler than I am now. I wasn't cool then. I'm not cool now. I'm not cool like that. So like, I approached this man from Outlaw Immortals. I'm like, yo, is it true that Tupac and Biggie did a song together? And I am so glad to tell you, some 30 years later, that I did not get beat up that night. But I almost did. That dude almost beat me up. That dude was like, get the fuck away from me with that bullshit. Why are you in my face? He said things that weren't nice to a stranger. And I'm not a paparazzi. I work for a company. I have a company uniform on. I got like this red shirt and khakis. I look like the State Farm bro, And he flexed on me like, I will knock you out. And it was like, I just talked to your homeboy, and he was so nice to me that it disillusioned me so much that I felt comfortable enough to approach you, and I feel like if this would have happened to some kid like 5 minutes ago, I take that back because there are modern day stories where you see dudes do wild shit on camera. I don't know who the hip hop group is, but there was a video of this young man who walked up to this hip hop dude and his homeboys beat that dude up. Like, it wasn't even remotely fucking, it was ridiculous. Like he had to apologize to this young man and his parents. You know how bad it is when you gotta call your boy, this dude's mom, like, look, yo, I'm so sorry my friends beat your son up on camera, like, for real. Like, so it could have been worse. Dude could have, like, put his hands on me, but he didn't. He just scared the shit out of me so bad. Like, I was like, oh God, I can't function. Like, I gotta go. I was shook. Now, I wasn't traumatized because, again, I don't recall what this dude looked like. It didn't stick with me to where it was like, man, that was the guy from the mall. No, but it happened. Dude was like, the fuck out of here. And I did. And someone may have told him to chill because he didn't press the issue, but I didn't get my answer. I didn't get an answer that day. It was true. They did a song together. You can hear it, I think. You can find it. They did get a song together, and it did exist. So the rumor was true. The rumor that the beef wasn't exactly what it was also true because, like I said, while there wasn't any internet, there was the news, and there were a lot of interviews at the time it happened. And when you go back and you watch like the Vlad TVs and stuff, and these dudes who are now years removed and they're recounting all of this stuff, a lot of that stuff they've already talked about when they talked to Sway or whatever in 1997, 98, as that stuff was fresh. Like there were ways to find out about what was going on without the internet. People talked in it, and word traveled, and people talked about stuff in their music too. So and they were not lying, So like, yeah, so that happened, and that taught me a valuable lesson about bothering famous people because, like, one dude was super super nice because he could be, and the other dude saw an opportunity to prove to anyone looking how tough he was. Because I wasn't no tough guy, I was just barbecue chicken. And I asked the wrong question at the wrong time and almost got beat up for it, And the point is, just gotta leave people alone, give them their space, because it's a strange thing to be in that position and constantly having to figure out the future, and it's like, and like, yeah, that was, yeah. So let's see here. And so, yeah, and there's all kinds of other like stories from around that time that you find out later on were rumors and whatnot that turn out to be true, and then you're like, your mind is blown as to how so much of this stuff happens and gets swept under the rug, gets hidden away, and you're like, how come no one did this? And then you think about it for a moment, you find out that someone did, and it's just as bad as you think it is. All right. So that was the section. The top of the show was heavier because it's like 220, and this is still top of the show stuff. I think the debate kind of wrote large over the show. Like, there's a lot of stuff to talk about, and that won't always be the case. And like, I've been thinking about a couple of things. Like, I am not opposed to doing the show at 1 o'clock and all that kind of stuff, But eventually, like sleep cycles are what they are, and I'm gonna eventually like have a couple nights where I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. That's why it's like Saturday and Sunday. I don't want to do this. I want to like not be doing this. Tonight sucked because I okay. I a new game came out called Games and Thrones from NCSoft, and I was waiting on it to download just for it to be terrible, and so I fell asleep because I was like, that was a, you know, game's terrible. Don't play it. That's my review for the night. I had a topic for the second hour that I I want to sort of tease, and then I will maybe pick it up in earnest tomorrow because I think there's some cool stuff to kind of like bring up. Um, and so, yeah, the stuff for the second hour, because also, like, I'm not gonna lie, this episode was about recovering. I just didn't do all my prep work. I fell asleep. I woke up at 1 o'clock for a 1 o'clock show, which was not how you're supposed to do that at all. Deeply irresponsible. But I'll look back at this episode one day and be like, yeah, that was the one. That was the one where I should have just hung it up. But um, the other topic I want to go over, because I'm trying to like, be topical. You know what I mean? But news happens fast. And and also like, I have my own personal, beliefs and stuff. I'm trying to like, kind of find my own way there, and figure out what actually matters and what doesn't, I guess, for a lack of a better term. Mm. Okay. And also, like, sometimes I will write stuff. When I was a content creator, I was introduced to Photoshop, introduced to, certain things. My only ability was to write stuff. I could write an article, I could write whatever, but I couldn't edit in Photoshop. I know video editing work. I didn't know how to do anything else, And one thing, anyone who works in like a creative field will tell you that you want to know as much stuff as possible and how to do as much stuff as possible, you know. So over the years, I've tried to pick up a few extra skills, but kind of too little, too late, But it is what it is. So I still like have the reflex to just write out an opinion, but like I don't have any place to post that shit anymore. And I think that a show like this, at the end of the day, is a place for those opinions. And so, like, one thing is I'm a huge nerd, and I have nerd takes, And one of my nerd takes is about this new Ubisoft game, this Star Wars Outlaws game, and I feel like that game's already kind of come out, and it's doing its thing, and I'm not in the camp of either side of the typical great taste or less filling variety when it comes to Star Wars Outlaws. I won't be playing it though, but not for the conventional, typical do bro reasons. And that's why I'm not sure I want to get into it because, let's be honest, this episode is a bit of a whiff. I want to be politically responsible, but I don't necessarily know if I want to be a political show. But I probably feel like, okay, you know what? That's not true. What it is I have no intention of shooting and missing. I don't, you know what I mean? I have no intention of helping people I am politically opposed to by speaking on topics irresponsibly. And that's probably the best way to put it, you know. And at this point, like, I mean, it's a rabbit hole and you got to get it right. And I'm not sure I'm prepared to go down a political rabbit hole because that's kind of what it demands when you're trying to talk to people about things that are deeply important. You know, having a political hot take is one thing. Trying to literally gather people to see what you're doing is another thing. So while I might feel strongly, I'm a one man show who is not equipped to like wade into current events in terms of like figuring out who's right and who's wrong. And I'm hesitant. I really am. Like as I'm talking about the presidential debate, it just feels like roller skates on an ice rink. Like I don't know if I should really be out there because I need to be able to back up. You know what I mean? Like what good did it do to make a comment that it had the opposite effect of what I wanted it to have? So what am I saying if I'm not gonna say it right? And so I just don't want to also be like, I am trying to pander to the most people and conservatives buy Jordans too. Like, I don't want that either. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to spend like an entire stream about nothing monitoring my chats because I've attracted the ire of someone who has now decided that this is the political hill they want to die on. You know what I mean? Like, it's some tough ones. So, what we're going to do is we're going to call this episode and we're going to put it in the books. We're going to take this episode and we're going to lock it up in the books. I'm going to watch it tomorrow and take notes. I got one, and we're going to roll over some, because our topics after the top of the hour are supposed to be evergreen topics we can talk about anytime, so you don't have to pay attention to this point. You can go, that guy's an idiot, and like that's the goal, you know. So if I can get that going, then the knockout hour, I will knock you out in the third round. That's what I'm doing, you know. Okay, so in that regard, before I stop this and hopefully fix it, because what will happen is my actual day off from work is Thursday, and I might spend an extra time during the day fixing everything. And so Friday night we'll have a better show, or Thursday night we'll have a better show. I just burped a little bit. It's terrible. I'm tired. I'm trying really hard. I have a correction though, just in case it comes up at any time in the future. The first episode was not without errors. There were some technical snafus, but there were also some just straight up errors, and I made a mistake. I mentioned that the game Conan Exiles had a server reset. It does not. One of the things that people were frustrated with was the fact that it did not. Conan Exiles is a game that allows you to sort of survive in an environment inspired by the Conan stories in a multiplayer, player versus player sort of fashion. And what happened was you could buy your own server or purchase a public server and have, people jump into the server and play the game. And similar games will have a period of time where you're playing for dominance, and then the server resets and everyone starts at zero so that the game doesn't stagnate. One of the complaints about Conan Exiles is there was no reset, so the game actually stagnated. So you could right now log into someone's server and there's no activity because everyone's got their bases hit over and now they've been manning them for years. It's a minor thing, but if I had viewers, one of them might have been like, hey, so, just gotta keep it honest. I want to make sure I corrected that. That's it. So I'm gonna hold on to the final hour topic and also the Ubisoft because it is something I care about and I want to get it right. And I'm going to thank the few viewers because I can't tell if I had one viewer or uh, a numerous viewers who come and gone. But I appreciate whoever is popping in to watch this, and it'll get it might not because we're working on. I'm gonna get some callers and so on and so forth. Like it's gonna become something. It's just right now the I don't know show because I don't know. Like the point of the I don't know show and decompression and the end of the night is I personally believe that I don't know is not the end. I don't know is the beginning. But we live in a time of false certainty. And that false certainty is exhausting. And if you're tired like me and you would just love it if someone just would be honest and that they just don't have all the answers, man, holla at your boy. Tomorrow, though, because I'm going to get some sleep. Thank you for checking out the show, and I will catch you tomorrow at 1 a.m. on Wednesday, October 3rd. This has been Dante with the I Don't Know Show. Signing off with no music because I screwed up the music. I'm sorry.